Sal Paolantonio is back on a Sal Pal Monday. We'll get some thoughts from Sal on the game, what it means for the Eagles. But first, we got to congratulate Sal Paolantonio. He was inducted into the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame and honored by the Pro Football Hall of Fame president and joined by a numerous amount of ESPN colleagues. So congratulations, Sal, to that fantastic induction into the National American Sports Hall of Fame, my paisan.
Oh, Mike Gill, I got to tell you, my wife and I were blown away. We were overwhelmed. It was so beautiful. They do it big in Chicago, 850 people. They had 3 tenors from Italy sing the Italian national anthem and the American national anthem. They had a band with a Sinatra singer throughout the evening. Tony Orlando was there and sang "Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Tree" to my wife and made her cry. It was unbelievable. And we had luminaries from, as you said, Jim Porter came. He was my presenter. He is the chairman and president of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He presented a check to the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame, which is building a brand new 10,000 square foot building. They got it almost half completed now in downtown Chicago, and we're going to kick that off next year. So it was really beautiful. Jimmy Pitaro, as you know, is the chairman of ESPN, and he was a gold sponsor of the event. So it was a big ESPN event.
Well, congratulations, Sal. It was a great honor, and we did see you yesterday at Soldier Field. We'll get some thoughts on the league in general, but let's go back to Thursday. I mean, there were so many people there on Thursday night at 5:30 that the cell phones were all jammed up. The crowd seemed electric for the team, and they came out slow, but were able to turn the corner in the second half. What happened in that game in the second half that allowed Philadelphia to pull away and really make a statement in the NFC East?
Yeah, the Eagles were obviously slowed down by the bad cell service in the building. And I do apologize to your producer, Josh, and to your listeners, because it's true, Mike. There were so many people doing so many things on their phones. I just think they ran out of bandwidth. And the Eagles had no bandwidth at all offensively for 3.5 quarters of that football game. You know, it's kind of getting annoying. I got to tell you. I think it's getting a little concerning how difficult it is for them to get off to a good start. Now, you could blame Thursday on a number of things, right? I mean, it's a short week. They did in practice. There were some plays that they ran in that game, like that triple option, whatever that thing was. I don't know why you would run that thing if you really didn't practice it full speed during the week, right? Doesn't make any sense, and it wound up being a big loss of yardage and a nowhere land kind of a play. But that was sort of the story with Jalen Hurts in the beginning of the game. So you go back to the first and second quarter, there are wide open receivers that he is not seeing, that he is not throwing the ball accurately to. You could see A.J. Brown right in front of the Commander's bench get agitated that the ball was underthrown and behind him on that out route. So there was clear frustration on the part of the wide receivers at the beginning of the game. Slow. Jalen Hurts was again slow with delivering the football. It was the slowest from catch of the snap to release that he had this season. And so it was indicative of just how slow and sluggish the offense was. But, the defense saved the game and Saquon saved the night.
He did, and I want to kind of get into that because, Saquon saved the night, but what is he doing for this season here, Sal? Is he making, I remember when he signs and everybody's wondering what kind of impact. And I said, look, Miles Sanders had 1,200 yards, Swift had like 1,000, and I'm like, does Saquon Barkley have to get 1,500, 1,700 yards to justify that signing? I mean, he seems like he's going to blow past some of those numbers. The impact that he brings to this offense and has kind of given them, that guy they can lean on in almost every moment. You sent me the email. He scores twice in 20 seconds, but it's the way he does it, just breaking, through the line and kicking it into another gear. And I guess some people wondered if he had that other gear in him.
Right, so I think he's already justified his contract, notwithstanding even what he does for the rest of the year. So that's one. Two, on pace to have 377 touches this season. That's too many. And I think they need to be much, much more judicious in how much they utilize him and make him the focal point when everything else breaks down. That to me is bottom line. They have a philosophy that comes from Bill Walsh, and comes from Mike Holmgren, and comes from Andy Reid, and comes from the San Diego system that Nick Sirianni was part of. You throw to score and you run to win. Well, if you're not scoring when you throw, and you have to score and win with the run, that's a lot to put on a running back with that many touches in his career at 27 years old. He looks super fast, and the numbers prove it. He's up over 20 miles per hour. He hit 21.9 miles per hour on Thursday night, which is the second fastest only to Derrick Henry. And I got to believe those stats are wrong. I think he's faster than Derrick Henry. Maybe, whatever they're doing to measure it, I think he's faster, and I think he's had some faster runs than Derrick Henry. But the numbers are the numbers, and he's right there. So don't rely on him too much down the stretch. But I'm afraid if you don't, you're going to lose games, Mike.
Well, I was going to say, so what's lacking in the passing game? Why can't that thing amp up? You got pretty capable wide receivers. Why is there still some questions about the pass game?
Well, it's sluggish. It's slow. And that's on the quarterback. Let's put it on him. Yeah, I know his numbers, that, he's got one of the best win-loss records in the NFL over the last 2 years, him and Patrick Mahomes. He's right there with Mahomes and Josh Allen. But right now, you look at it, the Eagles' defense has given up, about 10 points per game during the 6-game win streak. And Saquon Barkley is carrying him in the fourth quarter. So, listen, the bottom line is you got to throw to score points in the NFL, and then you run to seal the deal. You don't do the opposite. And they've got to figure it out. And there are receivers open. There's A.J. Brown open on a crossing route, wide open in the first quarter. He fails to see him. There was Devontae Smith screaming down the left sideline in front of the Commanders' bench. Failed to see him. I mean, he didn't get the ball to Dallas Goedert enough. And, listen, we like the addition of Dotson. He's a pretty good blocker. I get it. But you don't need to be throwing a ball to Dotson. You need to be throwing it to Brown, Smith, and Goddard, and Saquon out of the backfield.
Sal Paolantonio is with us here on a Sports Bash Monday, looking back at that Eagles win. The offense, they have the big names, right? They have the big names. But is this team really getting carried by their defense?
Well, let's talk about the defense. Jalen Carter is in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. Period, paragraph, move on to another subject. Quinyon Mitchell is in the conversation for Defensive Rookie of the Year. Period, paragraph, move on to another subject. The play of Blankenship and Cooper DeJean and Gardner Johnson has this team able to do what they want in the box with their safeties at all times. Fangio is letting them just play as free as possible because they have another guy who's in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year, and that's Zach Bond. So when you're playing at that level, at all three levels of the defense, you're playing free, and that's what they did. So just look at the stop on Jaden Daniels on the fourth down, where he's knocked out of bounds by Zach Bond. So Jalen Carter comes up the middle, just flushes the Commanders' offensive line through the A-gap. Within a second, he's on top of Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels has to evacuate for his life. He's running for his life to the right. Reed Blankenship is bearing down on him. He can see that. And Zach Bond beats him. We're talking about Jaden Daniels. He beat Jaden Daniels to the sideline and torpedoed him into the bench area. That's all three levels of the defense working hand in hand in concert.
Right.
And I don't see any other defense other than maybe the Steelers playing at that level. Now, I was in Chicago, and I can tell you neither one of those defenses, and the Packers are like the 6th seed in the NFC. They don't look like they got anything going in the pass rush whatsoever. They allowed Caleb Williams to just march down the field. Caleb Williams, who just got his offensive coordinator fired, marched down the field in the fourth quarter. I mean, the Detroit Lions have lost 2 major defensive players now to injury.
Yeah.
So the Steelers' defense is there, the Chiefs' defense is there, and then the Eagles' defense. Now, I will say this about their next opponent. I don't know if you want to segue to the Rams or not, but we can if you want to, and we have to start with their defense. Their defense is very fast in the front 7. They're very fast. You watch them on tape, they're well coached. They do a lot of stunts, a lot of games with their front 7. They can be very confusing in their pass rush. This defense of the Rams will give Jalen Hurts problems if he's not up to what he needs to do at the beginning of the game. I foresee problems for the Eagles offense early on in this game against the Rams defense. I do.
Well, what I wanted to ask you too is you saw the Commanders the week before. You called that game for ESPN Radio. So did you think that Washington was going to be a problem for Philadelphia? And did Philadelphia, I don't want to say surprise you with the way they were able to kind of handle them, but what was your anticipation after you saw Washington up close?
Well, first of all, the Eagles were a problem for the Eagles at the beginning of the game, just like the week before. And eventually they just ground you down with that offensive line and that running game. So to me, I thought the Eagles played down to the competition in many ways. But the one thing that happened, I've covered 4 Commanders games this year. The one thing that happened against the Eagles that I have not seen all year with the Commanders is Terry McLaurin just taken out of the game by a cornerback. Quinyon Mitchell erased Terry McLaurin, who's been an Eagles killer. The nickname Scary Terry comes from the way Terry McLaurin has played against the Eagles. He's been scary. And Quinyon Mitchell basically erased him. Not basically, he erased him from the game. And when that happened, and Jaden Daniels had to hold the ball to his second or third progression, that's when the Eagles' pass defense and pass rush really took over. And this is the key. Let's not mince words about what's going on with the defense and how they changed the way the Commanders played offensively. The Commanders came in as one of the most potent offenses in the NFL. One of the top 3 teams scoring offenses. Very potent. And Daniels is a sensation at rookie quarterback position. Quinyon Mitchell is the key. He's like Darrelle Revis right now. He's the Q factor.
Yeah.
So if you have a guy who can eliminate the best player on offense, and Bill Belichick talked about this on the Pat McAfee show today, and Belichick knows because he had Revis, and Belichick knows because I watched Belichick coach for 10 years in New England, and I watched him eliminate each and every time. He eliminated Marvin Harrison in all those playoff games. Just eliminated him.
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison was a ghost up in Foxborough. A ghost. And he did the same thing to so many wide receivers who would come into Foxborough. And if you have one guy who can eliminate the best wide receiver on the other team, that forces the quarterback to hold on to the ball. That allows Vic Fangio to do what he wants in the pass rush. And he's got Jalen Carter, who's playing absolutely out of his mind right now.
By the way, on that, Quinyon Mitchell opened the week at 16-1 to win the Rookie of the Year. He is now 3-1. He is the second shortest odds behind Jared Verse. And, of course,
of the Rams, right?
Of the Rams. I was going to say, and, of course, the Eagles are going to see him this week.
And that's what I'm talking about. Jared Verse is a load now. He can play. There's no question. He can play. 100%.
And Cooper DeJean, by the way, is 16-1.
That'll go down. That'll definitely go down. Take that at 16-1 for sure.
Those two have really changed the complexion. You mentioned the Rams defense. I want to get quick, Sal. We're talking about the Eagles defense and their guys, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. This is different. You got a guy who was a rookie last week. This is a 36-year-old Super Bowl champion. You can't confuse him, and I'm interested to get your thoughts on that matchup.
Yeah, well, the matchup is this. I've mentioned it already. Number one, absolutely with a bullet, 1 and 1A, is you better be studying. You had time now. You had a mini bye. You better be studying exactly what the Rams do and what you think they're going to do in this game. This is a Jeff Stoutland game. This is Jeff Stoutland and Kellen Moore. They've been around. They know Matthew Stafford. They know Sean McVay. They know that defense. They have to make sure that they have plugged Jalen Hurts in with the proper read and recognition and reaction, the 3 R's. Boom, boom, boom. Read, recognize, react. Get the ball out of his hands quickly. They've got to have routes in the game plan that allows Jalen Hurts to just unload the football quickly, even if it's 2 to 3 yards. And it's no secret why Jalen is holding the ball, Michael. He doesn't want to throw interceptions. He's scared to death of doing it. He obviously don't take risks, but obviously game plan so that you have opportunities to get the ball out of his hands quickly in the face of what they're going to do. They're going to play a lot of games. They're going to blitz. They're going to overload on sides, and they're just going to let Verse plays like almost like a baby Reggie White. He's strong and fast.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's going to be fun. The Eagles travel well, going out to L.A. Sunday Night Football to see what they look like against this Rams team because, every week it's like, this team doesn't do this, and this team's not very good. Well, this Rams team is kind of middle of the road, I guess, but
totally desperate, right?
Yep.
I mean, that division is wide open, and they got to win their games at home. Mike, I'm just going to go out and say it. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm going to say there's more Eagles fans that live in L.A. County than there are Rams fans.
It seems that every time they play
Rams games, I've been there for Rams games, and it's 2-1 Eagles to Rams fans.
Seems
it's not
like
even close.
It seems like every time they go out there, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of transplanted Philadelphians in L.A. County and Orange County, California. I'm telling you, there's a lot of Eagles fans out there, a lot. So that's number one is the defense is fast, it's smart, it's good, it's complex, it's creative, it's very underrated. Both those defenses that play out there in SoFi, the Chargers and the Rams, are both very underrated. Then you got to match up on their wide receivers, and you got to key on their running back because their running back has a lot of touches too. He's they will give him the ball. Sean McVay's offense is built. I could very well see them having a challenge to keep this winning streak alive.
All right. So, by the way, Saquon Barkley is the new favorite for Offensive Player of the Year. So
why? And Lamar Jackson can't still be the favorite for MVP, Mike?
MVP right now, the favorite is Josh Allen.
Where is Saquon on that?
He is pretty far down the list. I know,
he is
60-1.
Quarterback, right? I mean, it's crazy. He should be in the top 5, Mike, for MVP of the NFL, don't you think?
Yeah, he's 60-1, by the way.
Well, geez. I mean, but the thing is, they don't pick. It's a tough number because they don't pick anybody but quarterbacks. They just don't because of the number of times the quarterback holds on, touches the football.
Sal, I mean, Josh Allen kind of had his moment the other day. And by the way, it's been this year. It seems that every week there is a fourth down decision where somebody goes for it, and it's a huge moment in the game. Some teams are going for it, they're not getting it, and it's a talking point. Last night, the Bills, 4th and 2, they go for it, and it's really an MVP type of moment for Allen.
Yeah, well, you got Josh Allen, and you're home, and you got to beat the Chiefs. So it's a roll of the dice that you take every time, Michael. really.
Well, I'll tell you what, we got a big crowd here at the Fanatic Sportsbook, and the only thing missing is you and my man Johnny G.
Well, Johnny G and the Griner team at Berger Realty in Ocean City, New Jersey, they are the best, and we thank them for supporting your fabulous program. And I'm not going to L.A. this week. Did 2 games last week, Thursday and Sunday, so I'm actually going to rest these old bones and get back at it for Eagles at Ravens the following week. So this is about the toughest 2-week stretch that I've ever seen. Go on the road, cross the country, play a desperate Rams team, then come back out and play on the road in Baltimore where it's always difficult to win. So, this is it right here. This is it. And then they can put the cruise control on for the rest of the season.
Yeah, you got a Pittsburgh game down the road here still.
Yeah.
December
That's in Philly, right?
December 15th in Philly, 425. That's a Pittsburgh-Philadelphia game. And Pittsburgh, by the way, Sal, they kind of control their own destiny for the number 1 seed because they do play Kansas City. So if they keep winning, they play Kansas City, they could be a number 1 seed, that Steelers team, after beating Baltimore yesterday.
Yeah, I like them against the Steelers. I don't like them against the Rams. What is the number right now, Mike, on the Rams?
The Eagles are favored in the game. Let me pull it up for you here.
I thought I saw them favored. Has there been any reverse line movement at all?
I got 3. Eagles favored by 3.
Yeah.
Over under 50. That's a lot of points in this game. 50.
Yeah, that is a lot of points considering the Eagles don't score in the first half. Well, Michael, I'm going to pick the Birds to win the game. I'm going to say 30-24. But I think this will be a tough game for them once again because in the first half, they're going to have to game plan for the Rams, and then they're going to have to adjust for the Rams because the Rams will come out with some different stuff that will confuse Jalen Hurts at the beginning of the game. That's for sure. You can lock that in.
30-24 on a Monday. We're giving you the score of the Eagles-Rams game. Sunday Night Football right here on 97.3 ESPN. He's the Hall of Famer, Sal Paolantonio. Sal, enjoy the week off, man.
Hey, Michael, thanks for having me on the show, and we will chat next week.